For more than 25 years, Anthony S. Coppolella has excelled as a poet and professional songwriter and composer, lending his immense talent as a tunesmith to both Rainbow Records and Hilltop Records in Hollywood, California since 1994. To date, he is responsible for penning the lyrics to 30 songs, 15 of which have been contracted out, and countless published poems. Mr. Coppolella's extraordinary career has been steered by his belief that if it is something you want to do, do it. Don't be afraid, do it. Born and raised in Easton, Pennsylvania, Mr. Coppolella's writerly gift did not reveal itself until later in life. He was extremely interested in sports growing up and had a knack for salesmanship, even winning a sales award from the Eastern Express in 1964. 2 years later, he earned his diploma from Bangor High School and eventually pursued a higher education in 1972 when he attended a prominent art school and took a mail-order course in Wilton, Connecticut. Mr. Coppolella first put pen to paper in 1986, after a long day. A title had come to him and he began to surround the title with content. He discovered in that moment that he had the ability to put rhyme and verse into his words to create poetry, and he's been off and running ever since. Much of his work, including the songs he has written, have been spiritual in nature and contain themes of salvation and heavenly plans. Mr. Coppolella developed his newfound passion by attending workshops in and around Washington, D.C., learning poetry techniques and patterns, and joining such organizations as the National Library of Poetry, the International Society of Poets, and the National Writers Association. Throughout his life, Mr. Coppolella has had a strong belief in God, and it was that faith that led him to being named into the Aaronic priesthood of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in 1991. By 1993, Mr. Coppolella's work was featured in Wind in the Night Sky, a poetry anthology published by the National Library of Poetry. The following year, he was hired as a lyricist for Hilltop Records and Rainbow Records, where he has primarily written songs about love, faith, and moral values, his favorite among them being A Candle in His Light. He also became a member and consulting advisor for the International Society of Poets. His poems were included in such collections as Outstanding Poets of 1994 and Best Poems of 1995. One of the poems he wrote in 1994 was A Calling for World Peace, which he later sent to the White House, and about a week later, he received a thank you letter from President Bill Clinton. In recognition of his vast talent in the field, Mr. Coppolella earned an Editor's Choice Award in 1995. Most recently, in 2018, Mr. Coppolella was featured as a guest on CUTV News Radio, a half-hour blog program on which he talked about his poetry and songs. For this appearance, he opened a P.O. box for any listeners who wanted to reach out to him after the show. Looking toward the future, he hopes to write and publish 2 or 3 books, one of which he is currently working on, and it's entitled Love Poems. He expects it to be completed soon. As astounding as it is, Mr. Coppolella's success as a songwriter and poet has been a side passion for most of his life. He still retains his full-time position as a quality control specialist, a job in which he is in charge of making sure orders go out safely, properly, and efficiently. He happily resides in Pennsylvania and is the proud father of 3 children. When he isn't working, Mr. Coppolella enjoys art, sports, dancing, and cooking.